Great, thank you. First of all, for Metals Investment Forum for having us, and I think it's actually one of the better conferences that I've ever been to in my 25-year career in this industry, because it's really brought together, I think, some very good analysts, very objective people that are involved in the industry. And looking around this room and seeing the age of these people that are here, I kind of feel like I'm at my father's funeral, but it's I think it's fair to say that the people that really are in the market and buying commodities and looking for quick changes are buying bitcoins and whatever. But at the end of the day, we're in a long-term business. It's a capital-intensive business, and it's something that we're all passionate about. But we see the end game. And just listen to what Jordan said earlier. If you actually listen to his macro thesis, you won't be buying my stock on Monday or Tuesday or next month, but you will be next year. And what we're here to tell a story about is what we have is a project we have. We're a company called Triumph Gold. We're located in the Yukon, which is geopolitically and I think one of the better areas of the world. We've got incredible pedigree, incredible intense group that founded this company and are still supportive, still shareholders. And really all I've been doing to get behind this company and help reorganize with things from the past is really we see a project that has incredible leverage, and I'll run you through it pretty quickly in the next 9 minutes. These are the forward-looking statements where I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Our financial structure, since we took over the company in 2016, we have a really strong shareholding base. If you look at our shareholding, our share chart over the last 3 years, you'll see that there was a spike last summer, and that is completely related to a discovery that we had in a bear market, and there was obviously a lot of attention to it. Our biggest shareholder is Newmont. That's about 18%, and that was through their acquisition of Goldcorp. People are speculating what's going to happen with their position, because when a transaction of that magnitude happens, the first thing we obviously heard was all these bankers calling us up and saying, well, the first thing they're going to sell is everything in the Yukon, and including our stock. I think in the next week and a half, when you see our announcement of closing a financing, you'll see that's quite different. Other shareholder is Zijin Mining, that is currently at 10%, and they're actually going to increase to about 15% when we close this financing. Gold 2000 and another Hungarian fund. Long-term shareholders, myself and others, were probably about 70 to 75% of the stock. I put this, we have to show you who the management is. I really want to stress that Tony Baresi, the person on the bottom right, is really the reason we're here today. When we took over the project, it was a project that was put together by Bill Harris and Sue Craig. Bill's a second-generation prospect, did a phenomenal job putting this project together, and I'd really like to explain that further privately. But Tony is the one who's kind of unleashed what's happening, what's more relevant. We have a significant resource. We have a project that's very leveraged to gold. We've got a low-grade deposit that's 343-1 deposits on it that are about 6 million ounces gold equivalent, all at surface, about a gram per ton. Tony came in 2016, looked at the project completely different, and made it relevant at $1,200 gold. The project that we have, our main project, is the Freegold Mountain project. It is located in the Yukon, as I said, geopolitically safe, in a great area. First Nations issues all resolved. And it is located geologically on the Big Creek Fault, which I'll show you a map shortly. It's the host to a lot of the big projects that come from BC up into Alaska. The biggest thing that I think from an exploration standpoint and a cost efficiency standpoint, it is along a road accessible government maintained road. And that's what Bill was able to do in 2002, 2001 at the bottom of the market. He assembled a project that had countless owners over decades, and put it all together. And it's not just the geological, it was also the infrastructure. And that gives us a huge cost advantage, not only for the exploration, but the future development. And I'll quickly go through that. The other two projects I really won't hit on in this time frame. The Free Gold Mountain project, as I said, it's in the Yukon. It's located along the Big Creek Fault. It is 170 kilometers northeast of Whitehorse, and it is 50 kilometers off of the Klondike Highway, road accessible, as I said. It's also the subject to the new resource gateway project that the government is upgrading or investing into. That is a massive infrastructure project. Part of that is a road from our property up to where Goldcorp, or now Newmont Goldcorp, is. The first part of that's happening. It's already started. It's going through CarMax, upgrading our gravel road right through, upgrading it to a 2-lane, 80-kilometer road to our property and right through our property. And then subject to Goldcorp, or now Newmont Goldcorp, getting their go-ahead with their coffee project, the extension from our property all the way up to Dawson and through their property will be developed. This is our property. It's a district-size scale. It's 200 square kilometers. Again, as I said, Bill put this together. It is contiguous. There's numerous showings on it. There's 3 43-101 deposits on it that are the equivalent of 6 million ounces gold equivalent. But there's also a number of other showings on it and other discoveries we've had on it since we started exploration again in 2016. This is just a geological map to show that the favorable geology that we have, it's along that Big Creek Fault zone that really is the source for all the hydrothermal and epithermal veins we have on our property, but also the structure that goes through British Columbia all the way up to Alaska and hosts these major deposits. The main property is, as I mentioned, we've got those 43-101 resources. 2 of them sit within this 6-kilometer long, really intense soil anomaly. It's called Nucleus and Revenue. This is the soil anomaly. The top part of this is the gold interpretation of it. The bottom is the copper interpretation, and it is fairly consistent throughout. The resource sits within just a part of that, and what we've been doing since 2017 is further exploring that. So in 2016, what we did is we focused on the data that we had, reinterpret it, and realize that there is the potential for a massive porphyry mineralization outside of the diatreme that the resource sat in. In 2017, we followed up on it, and we took some wild shots, 6 kilometers long from one end to the other, and we hit. But we didn't hit with real intensive or long intercepts, but we had the source for it. And last year, we followed up on it, and we vectored in on it. We took all the data, vectored in, and we hit. And that's what obviously caused that rise in the stock price that I showed you in the stock chart. And what we did, we discovered the Yukon's highest grade porphyry. It's outside the resource. It's about a kilometer and a half outside of the current diatreme resource that we have. It's buried 200 meters deep. But we hit it on 7 holes, and we hit between 200 and 300 meters on 6 holes that carried over a gram of gold, sometimes gram and a half, and also 0.3 to 0.4% copper. That would be the equivalent grade of what you see at the New Afton mine, which is really what carries new gold to this date. We did not have any bornite. We're only down 700 meters. And so we followed up along strike and found another porphyry mineralization right beside it, about 500 meters next to the diatreme, called the Wow Breccia. So we know we're onto something down below. And what we are trying to do is prove this concept up. This is a concept, I think this really shows it. If you look at this cartoon section down below, the top of it is actually a 6-kilometer long trend with 5 mountain ranges and 4 placer creeks. 3 of those placer creeks are still active, including the most active placer creek in the Yukon in its history, in the Dawson Range. Down below that, we think we have the source for something that is fairly significant. I told you our grade was low grade, relevant more at $1,500–$1,600. The reason for that is the average grade of this is about 1 gram per ton. The most of the drill holes were multi-gram, 10, 20, 100, up to 400 gram, and the management at that time followed up on it, and it made perfect sense. And when we came up with a resource, it was about 1 gram gold. It wasn't 2, 3, 4 grams. And why that was is that it was a geological event, and the host rock is about 120 or 140 million years. We had this geological event happen 75 years, and this is what Tony and his group have found out, causes this high-grade mineralization that comes up. And that's what we found and confirmed with this discovery last year. So given that you've got this geological event that happened 75 years, there's got to be a source for it. And as Tony says, it's down below. He's not the only one that believes in this. We're down 700 meters. We have followed up with a geological survey down below. We've gone down a 7-kilometer long by 2-kilometer long survey, and we went down 1.2 kilometers to hit our targets for next year, or identify our targets for this year. So that's essentially what the risk reward is. We've got a company that, as Jordan said, very inexpensive. The risk reward just on what we are hitting below is absolutely phenomenal. And that doesn't include a lot of the other events that are on the property. We had 4 other discoveries. Gladly talk to you about them. A risk reward thing, as I said, I think this is one of the better risk reward exploration projects out in the world in a geopolitical safe area, and something that we're all into the long run. It's got great, incredible leverage. We have no debt. We are well financed. We're financed into this year's production. We have 3 different majors that are involved as shareholders in the company, and they're saying, go for it. And that's essentially what we're doing. So, thank you very much.